and he began to teach them many things. The gospel of the Lord. You probably noticed that all three of our readings today deal with some aspect of God's desire for intimacy with us. We hear of God's desire to gather you and me, his flock, to himself. You are all here today because you answered all to gather together with God. I believe that every time we pray, it's because God, first of all, called us into an intimate conversation with God. God really wants to shepherd us away from our fears and trembling that we encounter at times, like we heard in that reading. Near. That reminds us of God's delight in being close to us. Once again, the concept of intimacy. In that gospel from Mark, we hear how Jesus gathered his disciples together with him. He beckoned them with the word, "Come to a deserted place with me, the shepherd." As humans, we grieve and we are away from those we love. We've been through this process. Clothes piled up, heaps, pop cans and empty word about, empty potato chip bags and candy wrappers here and there. I think you get the picture. A few minutes after we started, my wife and I looked at each other and we were both in tears. We knew that although he would be back to visit occasionally, and his constant presence from him. My spiritual advisor recently described God's longing for intimacy with us in a meaningful way. He said, we need to remember that when God looks at us, God sees himself. Grandparents and family members love to look upon and be near their children. A priest friend of mine related to me an experience he had along these lines when he was at a family gathering. His young niece was sitting on his lap, talking in his eyes, and all of a sudden she stopped and said, "I can see myself in your eyes." What a beautiful. And why wouldn't God have the same experience with us? After all, we're all one spirit. We won't be totally content until we are all one with God.